health awareness. Every month, Real Talk on Mental Health brings in mental health experts to discuss topics important to those in our community. And today we have Dr. Manpreet Khemka with Parkview Health here to share some insight regarding the link between behavioral and mental health and nutrition in children. Good morning, Dr. Khemka.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course. Okay, so for those that may not know the correlation, how does what we eat affect our mental health?
So that's a great question to start with. What we eat is one of the most important pillar of the lifestyle choices that we can make that can influence our mental health, not just physical health, but also mental health. So if you're having a child who is talking about being irritable or too moody, and little children, when they are having hard time sitting in the circle during the circle time and constantly being interruptive and impulsive and running all over, not listening to teacher, parents tell about sleep issues in children, or just being very difficult to relate to. One thing that I always ask the parents is what is included in their diet. So it's not just mental illness is not just talking about depression or anxiety or impulsivity or addiction problems. It's also how vital and how motivated we feel in our day-to-day functioning. So that's nutshell of mental health and how food can influence us. So basically there are two ways that our current understanding is about how food can influence mental health. There is something called as gut microbiome, and to understand it, it's kind of an Amazon rainforest inside all of us. So it's like trillions of microorganisms which are in our gut, and they constantly talk to our brain through the gut-brain axis. So healthier gut microbiome, healthier mental health, healthier physical health. But the other understanding is, which is very common sense, what we eat also has a lot of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, which are very important to the many chemical reactions that take place in our brain.
And what are some of the basic principles for parents to remember when feeding children? What are some of the do's and don'ts?
Right. So one important, if I can highlight it for all the parents, it would be if you are maintaining a good, healthy gut microbiome for your kids, that's the best investment in their health. So there are some do's and don'ts, and there are three principles. If not anything else, if parents can just remember these three principles and feed accordingly, that would set it right. The first principle is eat food. The second principle is mostly plant-based, and the third is watch your portions. So a little bit talking about it further. When I say eat food, in the current times, it's not just about good food, bad food. It's eat food or eat food-like substance. So many things that we are feeding our children these days is not actually natural food. So when we say eat food, it's mostly stick with something which is as close to nature as possible, as minimally processed, as minimally ultra-processed as possible. And the thing with ultra-processed food is it's not like one thing that's wrong with it. There are like 8 things wrong with the food that we are feeding our kids. So there is, first of all, there is 3 things which are too less in ultra-processed. That includes the fiber, the micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. The third thing is the omega-3 fatty acids. And they all affect the gut microbiome. And then there are a few things which are too much in this ultra-processed food, like high in sugar, high in salt, high in trans fats, high in omega-3 fatty acids. And of course, there is too much of toxins like preservatives and synthetic additives and emulsifiers, which all break the gut lining. And it's just like it breaks the first line contact that we have with the outside body. It just exposes us too quickly to the toxins and harmful substances out there. So the end result is that there is chronic inflammation in the body. So not just the physical health conditions. Chronic inflammation in brain can cause depression, anxiety, behavioral problems in children, ADHD-like problems, even worsen some of the autistic tendencies in children. So that was principle 1, eat food. The second is mostly plant-based. So as close as we can think of, fruits, vegetables, millets, legumes, lentils, and try to go for something which is more organic, which has not been loaded with tons of pesticides. So again, stay away with more local, seasonal, regional food instead of importing it from the exotic countries, which are, again, it's loaded with too much of chemicals to increase the shelf life.
Alrighty, Dr. Khemka, thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining us. You can catch this interview again later today on WANE.com. Lance?